Good evening, young India. So DISHA Bharat organizes MyBHARAT, which is a panel discussion on contemporary challenges. And I take an immense pleasure in moderating this show. And today evening, we have two wonderful guests with us. And at the same time, we are missing Prasanna Karthik. He is not well. We hope for his speedy recovery. And let me not delay. So let me welcome our guest to the evening. So at the beginning, we have Soumya Chaturvedi. Namaskara, Soumya. Yeah, so Soumya Chaturvedi is a senior research fellow at India Foundation, a lawyer by education. She holds a postgraduate degree from the School of International Relations and a specialization in Asian security from University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. Her research interests include internal security, terrorism, peace, and conflict studies. Since August 2019, she is steering the Jammu and Kashmir Security Tracker project as a part of her endeavors to contribute towards the field of counter-terrorism in India. So welcome, Soumya, on board. Hope to have a lot of insights from you. And yeah. Our next guest to the evening is Rishi. Namaskara, Rishi. So Rishi is a well-known face in social media, both on Twitter and Facebook. He hails from Kolkata, West Bengal. Rishi describes himself as an ordinary Indian citizen who just keep an eye on structural change, an investor who believes that India's story has just begun and a long way to go, an entrepreneur who believes that a new Atmanirbhar Bharat will take on the world with a strong note. I represent New India, but yet find my roots in a rich culture and heritage. I think this is what is required for the new India, and I'm sure there are a lot of challenges, especially young India is going to face, connecting between the roots and the present situation. Hoping to hear a lot of insights from you, Rishi. Welcome on board.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Soumya, I begin with you. Generally when today in the whole of India, there's a festival mahal, and today in South India, there's a big festival also that is happening. Especially when it comes to young India, there are a lot of students who ask me this question. We are stuck in a point. We don't know how to carry forward the legacy. At the same time, how to actually go with the flow in the modern India. So how do you actually relate to this situation today, especially for this generation probably who are facing this difficulty from 18 to 30 in this generation?
Right. I think to start with, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's an absolute privilege to be talking in this platform, and of course sharing the panel with Rishi ji. So thank you for that. Now coming to your question, I think Swathi ji, it stems from the common problem of identity crisis. I think the India that I was born in, there was a lot more of a identity crisis that was going around. We were not very confident of what is our real heritage value. Is it okay to wear our values on our sleeves? Can we be open about it, or can we talk about it in a very confident sense of a way? And I think that's where the entire problem arises. The youth today is a lot more confused about what do they want to really believe in. Of course, since 2014, I would say there is a lot more acceptance of what our culture is. It's fashionable to wear the Indian culture on our sleeves now. And I think that's where the situation has changed, but we haven't quite gotten there. We don't even know our legacy. So I think to take the legacy forward is difficult because we don't even know where we are coming from. The kind of education that we've had was very restricted. The kind of ecosystem where we were brought in and born and brought up in was very restricted in terms of what the idea of India is. It's only in the recent times where the idea of India is being really explored upon. And I think now onwards, it's more comfortable. I think we're all a little more confident about carrying our legacies, but there's very little that we even know of it. So I think there is, of course, a dichotomy. People have questions that we do not have answers to because, of course, we aren't well read either when it comes to our legacies, our value systems, our civilizational values. I think there is a lack of clarity there. And so because we are not very clear about it, it's of course very difficult to convince somebody else about it. So when somebody questions us, we are not very sure of it, and hence we do not present a very confident picture. And I think it's troublesome, yes. There are endeavors being taken to make sure that the legacies are put forth in the mainstream media, in the mainstream platforms. But I think the accessibility of these platforms is still quite restricted. The kind of audience that it caters to is still very restricted. And I think that's something that we still need to work upon. The youth, we haven't really reached the youth out there with the correct information, with the right kind of narratives. And I think that that's where we fall short.
Perfect, Soumya. I think you just summed up so well that when it actually comes to legacy, whatever we study since from our childhood to whatever we have today, I know the new education policy that is going to come into the picture is going to play a huge role. But whatever we lost in the previous era, I think it's time for us to make it up. So taking it from there, Rishi, to you, Rishi, when it especially comes to young generation, so it's actually not cool to carry the legacy forward, and especially in this whole economic world where you're running behind something always. So you're supposed to be modern, you're supposed to follow the West, you're supposed to speak like them, behave like them. So that is when youth is caught up, that probably that is when we are successful in life. So what is your take on this?
No, my take is very simple, that we need to stop running, after the Western countries and Western civilization and Western cultures and Western, ethos and everything. And we have to create our own. We have to go back to the root, and we have to find what was the, we were like, once upon a time, we were ruling the world with almost 30% of the world's GDP. And then now also we are going to be one of the fastest growing economy coming next 2 years as per the IMF estimates. So if we are growing at a very faster, I mean, in a double digit rates, which I believe we will, and if we are going in a double digit way, we, the only thing is that we just need a 10 years of double digit growth rate to go to the levels which China is today. So we just need a right sort of leadership, right sort of narratives which we can drive to the people, that this is the things. We just need a lot of confidence which comes with the success, recent success and all. And we just need to communicate with our young what do you call, because if you see the majority of the demography, Indian demography is around about is below 30. So they need to be properly communicated. They need to be given a proper opportunities in form of jobs, in form of other things, in form of entrepreneurship, in form, because you cannot give job. The government cannot give job. Total number of job government have is just 1 crore, and it has 130 crore people. So you cannot expect government to dole out government job to it. What they can do is that they can create, and they can enable the environment to create jobs. They can make the person, like I tell you the simple examples. I mean, the mudra loans, I mean, which this government have started. Now what exactly happened with those mudra loans? They have made each and every, even a small person, a businessman. Usko matlab, you have given what you call collateral free loans to the people, and those people have become entrepreneur. They have started a small shop. They have started a, what do you call, a fruit baskets. They have started a milk shop, whatever, the small things. But what happened, the small things makes a difference. You always start from a scratch and then you grow. So that opportunity, the starting from the scratch, is also the one big hurdle which people have. Ki start kare ki nahi kare. Once you start, it's like 50% your job done. The only thing is that you have to make a right decision and you have to grow. So this is how the new India is coming up. Now you remember in 2016 when the startup India was like this government has brought the startup India. Everybody was laughing at us. Yeah, kya startup India, startup India. This has gone mad. I mean, we just need job, we just need government job. Now what exactly happened? The startup India. You see the Zomato, you see the Swiggy, you see the all these companies which are coming, coming and hitting the stock market right now. I mean, Zomato has just hit the stock market. It garnered 9,000 crore rupees, and it is like creating a huge lot of jobs and among the youth, which we call a gig workers. Now, I have heard that they are recently, these people, this gig companies and logistics company, the food companies, they are like recruiting 3 lakh people from the bottom of the pyramid just to deliver the things. these are the simple companies which are creating a huge jobs. So what happened to them? How they created? So this is a 5-year journey where government has created a enabling environment, and they have done everything. They tick all the right box. They allowed them to get funds from the outside, and they can grow from them. They allowed them to burn the fund. They allow them everything. So these things happens. The reforms always take step by step approach, because we are right now in a very matured sort of democracy and a very mature sort of economy. We can't just rush the thing out. We need to dabble each and everything. So the labor reforms which has happened, the capital market reforms has happened, and then the farmers reforms which has recently taken. And I think it is one of the very good reforms, which is going to be the ultimate, which is going to benefit the farmers a lot. And I don't know why the middlemen have the problem. Obviously, they will have the problem because the farmer will go farmers will be bypassing them, and they will be having a very big issues. So that is the reason why they are doing it. But all the farmers, accepting that particular reason, all the farmers are very happy. The farmer also stays in Karnataka. The farmer also stays in Maharashtra. The farmer also stays in the West Bengal. Yeah, wo log bhi to farmers hai. They don't have any issues. So why the issues there? So a lot of things are happening. The cement sales are very high. The steel sales are very high. The what do you call the GDP is the what do you call this GST is very high. The corporate taxes are very high. So obviously a person will pay tax only if he makes money. He won't go and pay tax out of charity. So that thing need to be understood by everyone. So I'll come back to that thing again, but till now, this is how I think the nation is going to progress, with lot of reforms and with lot of positive steps by the governments.
Definitely, Rishi. Thank you. I'll just get into the detailing of many aspects of economy, and I'm sure actually Zomato has touched the market ceiling. It has touched the market cap as well. Taking it from there, Soumya ji, what do you actually think, especially when it comes to poverty? Poverty is a bane, poverty is a boon. So we have seen a lot of entrepreneurs today who have come from the background and who is flourishing in life. At the same time, there is a stage association especially in the middle class or low middle class families in India, where there is a lot of tendency to get into anti-national activities, or to get into terrorism activities, or get influenced by, I don't want to mention any religion as such, or get into, there are a lot of people operating from Middle East who would try to concentrate on these people. So how do you actually think that, especially the present economic situation and the present mindset of youth, how are they actually balancing it?
Right. So I think a lot of people have this belief that people generally from the lower strata of the society are more drawn towards terrorism and sort of drawn towards more anti-India activities or forces. I am one to believe that that's not true. I think the idea of getting drawn towards these anti-India forces, so to say, or these radical ideas, these terrorist-driven ideas, is more to do with, again, let's go back to the identity crisis part. You're talking about a population that's confused. They do not really know what to believe in. For over the years, for like say for Kashmir, for instance, for good 70 years, they were born, brought up, they were bred in a situation where largely they sorry just a second, yeah, sorry, they were largely drawn into a society where they did not believe in the state institutions. So they did not know who really to believe in. They did not know if the state institutions were catering to them, whether they were protecting them or not. Then of course you had these other forces that were trying to radicalize these people. Now of course they were drawn towards it, especially coming to say things like stone pelting. And that's where I think a lot of media also gets attraction, that stone pelters are rather people who are paid to pelt stones towards the state institutions, state forces. Very interestingly, stone pelting has come down in Kashmir, but just about a couple of months back, these people were pelting stones on an ambulance that was going or catering towards some COVID affected patients. So you clearly know that there is a sense of confusion. These people don't quite know what they're standing for. I think more than poverty, it's more about being influenced by people. So you've got a bunch of people who want to make sure that the state crumbles, the state institutions crumble, especially now that a lot of development has gone into Kashmir and a lot of other places as well. People have started regaining faith in state. They really believe that the state can really protect them now. So there are, of course, anti-India forces who want to make sure that this trust does not really build in. There's a trust deficit that is created. So these people are paid in, or they're paid just to make sure that they act against the state governments. So they are drawn towards it essentially because of the identity crisis, because these people don't know what really to believe in, rather than coming from an economic strata which is like, say, lower income families or middle class families. I think it's less to do with economic situation, but more to do with the idea that they're confused. They don't know who to support, so they get influenced very easily. There's a lot of development that's happening, of course, but when it comes to catering to the psychology of these people who have seen conflict probably all their lives, or they've seen conflicts for generations now, there's a lot of psychological healing that's required. And for that, of course, you need a lot more civil society actors, you need a lot of spiritual actors, you need a lot of multiple stakeholders are brought in. And I think we are moving towards it. We are not quite there yet. And that's the reason that these anti-India forces take advantage of this deficit. They really brainwash people and they make them believe that we are the saviors of you and the state will not really take care of you. And that's how they get drawn into it. I think it's less to do with the economic strata than just the lack of confidence or lack of identity crisis, I would say.
Perfect. When individual doesn't know where they belong to, so it's quite natural to fall into this prey. So Rishi, she was actually talking about the identity crisis, and there are a lot of students, especially generally they ask me during my panel discussion. We actually have a legacy of communism. We have now a standard capitalism, and there is something called as socialistic capitalism that is coming up. So you think that youth today are confused what to follow, or are we on the right track?
Yeah, obviously, the youth is very confused. I mean, you are like, we need to choose our icons very, very we wisely. I mean, we are choosing icons like Kanhaiya Kumar and not Neeraj Chopra. I mean, who got a gold. I mean, you see, they are both coming from the similar background. They are both coming from a background which is like very similar. They are coming from both coming from the farmer's family, but one choose to be a JNU freeloader and other choose to work very hard, and he got a gold medal for the India. So basically, we need to choose our icon very wisely. So that is one thing. And secondly, we need to understand one thing: we should not glorify poverty, because that is the only thing which all the economists do. They glorify poverty, they win Nobel Prize and do nothing. What we need to do is that give Padma awards to the people who create the maximum jobs. Give Padma award to the creator who create in last 5 years. There should be a criteria that you give the top awards to those people who have created the maximum numbers of jobs in last 5 years. And he is a first generation entrepreneur. Okay, so you can figure out, and you can just award them, you can just reward them, unko ijjat dijiye. This is what you can do. You can just make them your new icons, icons who are giving jobs, who are creating who are boosting economy, who are giving taxes, and those kind of people we need desperately. So, and the narrative is very important. And even in Disha Bharat, my only request to everyone out here, that please make sure that you put a proper narrative in front of your viewers, because that is most important. Because in the era of disinformation, we need to understand what is how powerful it is to keep those kind of facts in front of and dispel those disinformation. Like, I can give you a small example. Everybody is crying, yeah, petrol itna mehenga ho gaya, diesel is so high. So they don't understand, even in 2012, I tell you, even in 2012, if you Google the petrol prices in Bangalore, it was 82 rupees. So right now it's 102 rupees. So 9 years, it's from 82, it came to 102 rupees. And we just like 20 rupees hike, which is CAGR, a hike of 2.5% per year. Now, CAGR, compounded annual growth rate is just 2.5%, whereas inflation is 5%, gold is 8%. Your food prices, even the wheat prices, have gone 6% every year. So we have actually the petrol prices gone actually has what you call increase lesser than the inflation, lesser than the food, lesser than the everything. In that
But
way,
what
the
about per capita, Rishi?
per capita income has increased more than 8% per year. That is like, because that is the most important part we have to understand. If per capita income is increasing, and if the petrol prices not increasing in that increment, in that you know intensity, so obviously your purchasing power increases a lot because you have a far more better rooms. And what does government do with the prices, with the petrol prices? You need to understand simple thing. You buy petrol for 100 rupees, 50 rupees government takes as a taxes, 20-25 rupees it gives to the state. The state needs its own revenue shares. And with the 25-30 rupees, what the center is doing, center has has started OROP, center has started Ayushman Bharat, where 50 crore people are getting medical coverage of all below the poverty line. And you need to understand, this is the highest, like a biggest healthcare plan in the world. Even the Obama care was like 110 million. So this is, I'm talking about 500 million, 5x of the Obama care. So you can imagine then we are like the country is distributing, the government is distributing the free food grains to all the needy people. They have done in the pandemic time, and before that they are also used to give a subsidized food rate. Because if you remember the last government, after just before demitting the office, they have bought this national food security bill, which they never, वो लोग last में लेकर आए थे, but they never able to pay any time, because उसके बाद government change हो गई थी, and this government is paying this bill. So that cost of expenditure is also there. Then you have a new weaponaries, you have a new Jal Jeevan mission. मतलब in Jal Jeevan mission, 4.5 crore household, like 45 million household got a tap water. Tap water is very important. It is like if you don't get a proper drinking water, you might be having a diseases, waterborne disease, and then you have all the medical expenditure all there. So they are there. Then you have Ujjwala, Ujjwala gas and everything. They have given 9 crore families Ujjwala gas. Now 8 to 9 crore families getting Ujjwala gas. Earlier they used to burn charcoal, wood and everything, and which used to create a lot of environmental hazards also, the fumes and all those things. So that is no more there. It's a clean fuel. Then you have a free toilet. The free toilet is a very interesting socio and economic change which has happened. Most of the rapes in the rural area used to happen when the ladies used to go for this toilet and this bathroom and this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of this thing happened. So when what exactly happened? Just when this government has taken the charge, the Modi government, the Sulabh Shauchalaya founder has visited Modi government, and he has kept this thing that, look, if your government is able to create toilet in every home, the rapes will go down, the lot of diseases will go down, and it will have a lot of socio impact. Women security. So nobody can connect toilet with the woman security, but this is the practice. Now the rapes have decreased because the woman doesn't need to go out of their home. They have their own bathroom, they have their own toilet, they can use that toilet facility out there, and they don't have to go out. So that is a very big change which has happened in the rural areas, and this change need to be narrated in a proper way to the viewers. Then the government is also making a lot of roads. Now people say, yeah, road says government is collecting road says. So obviously if it collects road says, it is not building roads in the Delhi. Modi ji sirf Delhi mein roads nahi bana rahe. in last budget, I mean, the FM, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, if you see the budget, she has given 1 lakh crore of budget in Tamil Nadu just to create roads. She has given 75,000 crore budget, road budget in Kerala. Now, this two states, NDA has no presence. The BJP has no presence. Still, they have given this money to those states to create the roads. What I'm saying is that this is how a federalism structure works. This is how the things work. So you need to understand how the things are going. Now you see the solar power which is happening. This is like one of the biggest thing which is happening. All the additional power capacity has come in the form of renewable energy in last 6 years, 7 years. Now we don't need those coal burning fuel. So all this fuel is happening in the solar things. What it has done is that it has actually taken the load of this fossil fuel burning. It has given a new lease of life to the environment, and the cost is also very low, and it's a renewable in nature. So you don't have to keep burning coals every time. You just put a panel, and your sunlight will do the trick, and you'll get the energy out of it. So that's how this government is working. And you see the inflation is very much controlled in last 7-8 years. So what exactly happened? The incomes are growing at the rate it should grow, but the inflation has been kept in check. So what exactly happened? The purchasing power of the people, the person have increased, and that actually reflects in their spending patterns. You can see the highest numbers of durable goods are being sold, highest numbers of flats are being sold, highest numbers of like lot of things are like they are using the planes, they are using the trips, they are going for vacations. Pre-COVID I'm talking about. And the cars, if you see, the car numbers are very high. So those things are happening. So savings have started growing up very high, and this is like being done in a lot of things.
True, Rishi. Probably before COVID, I mean, the economic pattern before COVID was different, and after COVID is different. And of course, I also have some reservations, and I'll get back to you on that. Soumya, especially when we are talking about economic situation, there are some confused youth, and there are some youth probably who are doing well in life, who are quite settled, and they want to contribute to the heritage of the country, or they want to contribute to how actually we can keep our country safe, be it in any sense. And apart from being social media activist, so a lot of youth have a question today that can we actually contribute in real sense to the country, or how is it? What is your suggestion to them?
So I think there's a lot that the youth can do in today's time, and of course, social media is one such platform, and I'll come to it towards maybe a little later again. But if you see, there are a lot of cultural entrepreneurs. So what's important is, even if you can't do a lot of things, because of course you've got your own full-time jobs to cater to, and you still want to contribute towards the nation building, you can also support these platforms. So I know of a lot of cultural entrepreneurs who are really trying their best to make sure that they can make Indian heritage a lot more fashionable one, and also that can earn a lot of revenues for the country. So I remember long back in one of the conferences, I heard about these small pods that are created, which basically have, you pay money for like 5 minutes, you go in and they play some kind of chants. And you listen to it in the middle of a conference to calm yourself down for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then you come back and then you join the conferences again. So you've got a lot of cultural entrepreneurs who are doing a lot. So one, of course, is that if you're very, very motivated towards, contributing for the nation building in certain ways, you can always join these cultural entrepreneurs and help them in promoting their businesses. What you can also do is, well, of course, social media is important. Like, there's no denying that. Perception management is very, very important. And I am of a firm belief that perception management is a very important national security challenge in the days to come. Social media is a platform where not only do you consume information, you consume a lot of entertainment also, without realizing that it's actually influencing the way you think. It's influencing your thoughts. A lot of art is being used as well. So I think a lot of artists, for that matter, be it performers, be it photographers, even they can contribute in in very constructive nation building. I'll share a small incident. This is after of course, the abrogation of the special status of Kashmir. I was doing a lot of research on the kind of content that's available on the Kashmir, the situation. And of course, there were a lot of, lectures, articles, books that I read. But I was introduced to these platforms that, say, platforms like Instagram and, Snapchat, where these photographers, they take these very beautiful pictures of Kashmir, and then there's this caption which is very poetic, and the visuals are very aesthetically pleasing. Only towards the end do you realize that they're actually talking about anti-India forces. And so up until the half of the caption, I did not realize that, and I was very moved. I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful. Only towards the end, I realized that what is it that they're actually propagating. So even to fight them, you need a lot of artists who can use their own talent to make sure that there is enough content, even for the sake of entertainment, but enough content that can steer the emotions of the youth, and youth largely because they are the ones who are digital addicts, so to say. That steer emotions in a way that they contribute towards nation building. So of course there's a lot that can be done, and I think people in their own fields can do a lot. There's a lot that you can write about, there's a lot that you can talk about, there's a lot that you can showcase. So say for instance, I amongst a lot of other youth was of a firm belief that Kashmir is perpetually burning, or at least that's what the media showcased it like. But if you actually go there, you'll realize that terrorism has really reduced to a very small number, and it's on the peripheries, so to say. There's very limited militancy or terrorism that you'll see on roads, and people are living a very normal life. So even as a tourist, when you go there and you create vlogs, you write about it, that's when you can create a lot of awareness. So despite your full-time job that you have, you can always contribute towards nation building through multiple channels. And I think it's only a matter of realizing it. That, how do you do it? As long as you're very interested and you're enthusiastic about it, I'm very sure you can find avenues. So like people like me who are researchers, are it's technically a full-time job to, talk about things, to critically analyze avenues. But even say for an economist, for a person who's just a student of an art, who's a student of say performing art, you can create, you can curate something. You can curate a play, you can curate a channel, you can curate small documentaries. There are a lot of avenues that can be tapped onto, provided how motivated are you in actually doing it. So, a lot of people really want to contribute, but when it comes to taking that effort, that's where they lack. So they will support a lot of movements, but they will not steerhead it. So I think that's where we need to know if how confident are we, or how motivated are we in really contributing towards nation building. And as long as you really are motivated, there are a lot of venues, there are a lot of platforms where you can meet a lot of people who are doing a lot of things, and you can always support them, or you can promote them through your own channels. So I was speaking to a friend who's into consultancy, and they talk about risk management. And because she was privy to a lot of information on, say, political risk in India, she started a part-time blog just to talk about the different political, movements in India and how it's being perceived wrongly. Her blog eventually really took off. It started catering to a lot of masses. So I think it really depends on how motivated you are in really taking that step. Of course, it's not going to be easy. I think sometimes commenting on Twitters or getting into digital fight is easy, but to really
Getting
do
the ground
something,
and work is difficult. Yeah,
yeah. And I think we have a lot of digital warriors, so to say. There are a lot of people who are doing it, and we really need them, not discrediting what they do. But I think there is more that needs to be done. We don't have to just counter narratives. We also have to build narratives. We also have to propagate our own viewpoints instead of just, fighting their battles. We need, and because if you fight their battles, you're also fighting on their terms. You need to create your own terms. And I think for that, you really need to be motivated.
Perfect. I just love that, statement. Don't fight on others' battle. Even if you want to fight a battle, create your own battle, create your own narrative. I just have an added question to this, Soumya. I still remember I have a lot of friends from Kashmir, and when I actually listen to them, the way they write, the way they narrate poems, the way they actually fantasize Kashmir, I've always seen Dal Lake burning with kerosene, fire, and petrol. I've never seen a beautiful Dal Lake, be it in pictures or be it in media or whatsoever. But when I personally went there, I realized, oh my God, this is Kashmir. What we were actually talking about Kashmir till date. But how? What is your take on today's Kashmir? How well read today's youth in Kashmir are, and especially I get really hurt when they call it Indian media, Indian judiciary, Indian constitution, but how much they own up to India today.
Well, that's a tricky question to answer, to be very honest. I think while they do believe in the idea of India now, they've also understood that their emotions were being played on for a very long time by, let's say, for people with, there was dynasties that were ruling the state, political dynasties. And I think for their own agenda, so to say, for a very long time, the emotions of the Kashmiri and Jammu youth was being played on. And I think now people have started getting a sense of a clarity. They've seen development. They have seen a lot of things move. They've also seen a lot of, like they say, Dilli se dil ki duri thi. And now that it started reducing. So things have started changing. There's no denying that. But largely what happens is that people still have a selective memory of what happened. So like you said, there are these poetries of how the Dal Lake is filled with tears of Kashmiri youth who were killed in militancy and whatnot. But what happened to Kashmiri Pandits? What about their exodus? You had 5 lakh people that were thrown out of their home state who had to live as refugees in their own country. And there's hardly any poem or poetic nuances that you'll find catering to them. So there is a selective memory, of course. Of course, it's driven by people who were at power, because let's be very honest, people are naive, they're innocent. We get, if there's a very charismatic leader, we get influenced by them. And if the charismatic leader is talking about anti-India forces and how they are not safe in this country, and how people of India should be grateful that they chose to stay with us and things like that, then of course it starts playing in their psyche as well. I think that has changed now. It really has changed. People have moved out of the state. You've got people who are staying and studying in different parts of the country now. People who have moved abroad as well. So I think they have a much more broader perspective, so to say. They have a larger playing field. They also understand what went wrong with them. There is still a long way to go. There's no denying that. I remember recently when I was in Kashmir, we were trekking in Anantnag, and Anantnag is South Kashmir, and South Kashmir, for some reason, it seems like it's infected with terrorism. It's not so much so. I was just having kava on the top of a hill, and there was this young little kids who were playing around, and I just wanted to talk to them about where do they go to school and all of that. One of them came and said, like, Didi, see, we are not carrying arms. Why do people in Delhi think that everybody in South Kashmir is holding arms? And I said, I really don't think that's the perception. Why do you say so? And that's when they said that our elders talk like this. So I think it's both ways. People in Kashmir feel that we look at them very differently, and we feel that they look at us very differently. So like they said, that there is a dil ki duri, there's no real distance between the two, but there's an emotional distance, which is of course reducing. But I think there's a long way to go. We really need a lot more exchanges. We need a lot of student exchanges, cultural exchanges, youth exchange between the people there and here, to actually showcase to them that the world has really moved on. India is really progressing. You're as much Indian as much you're a Kashmiri, or Kashmiriyat and Jamhuriyat are as much Indian as it can get. It's not separate entities or separate cultural identities, or not separate from the idea of India, so to say. So I think things have changed considerably. Today's youth is a lot more confident. They are a lot more. They're a lot more trusting the state, and you can also see the decline in terrorism and decline in the anti-militancy, approach, which is evident that people do not believe in these militants or these terrorist forces. Of course, there's a small fragment that still gets influenced, but largely they've started realizing that situations have changed. Indian government is really protecting them, really looking out for them. There was an interesting research that I found, or interesting data that I found, that over the last 2.5 years, there have been a lot more arrests and very little encounter operations that have taken place, which basically means that the government now wants to make sure that people might not really know what they've gotten into. So it's okay, let's arrest them, let's interrogate them for more information, but also make sure that we rehabilitate them into mainstream society. And only in worst case scenarios are, encounter operations being undertaken where terrorists have to be killed because there's no other venue. So you can see that the state has also become a lot more sensitive, which also means that people have also seen this. People now feel that they are being protected, they are being taken care of. And I think things have changed dramatically, but there's still a long way to go, of course. We cannot say that everybody's on board completely. They're not, but they have come a long way. There is some kind of suscepticism, but that's largely to do with political forces, because clearly the parties which were at the realm of affairs are now losing political ground. So you will see them talk in hyperboles. And that does influence a small fragment of the society in Kashmir. But I think there is a new leadership that's emerging from the society, from Kashmiri society, that is spearheading them in a right direction. And I think it will take some time before they gain the main platform. But I'm not very pessimistic about it. I'm very optimistic about the situations there now.
Lovely. I'm sure Dil Ki Duri बहुत जल्दी कट जाएगी. Thank you, Soumya. Okay, taking it from there, Rishi, August 15th is soon approaching. When it comes to Independence Day, we all hear the Nara of Azadi. I also actually want to know, today is the biggest contemporary challenge when it comes to Startup India, or when it comes to ease of doing business. A lot of youngsters face today, or they keep talking about it, is actually, when do we get Azadi from the liabilities or the struggles that we're going to face in building something, especially in the country? And when it comes to, I have even heard a lot of people telling that, when it comes to venture capitalism and everything, when we see the other countries, if they would have asked for collateral and other things, or if they wouldn't have believed in the projects of youngsters, Amazon and Flipkart and Facebook and whatnot wouldn't have come up today. But why we Indians, we are not able to get that support is what a lot of youth, a lot of this generation is asking me. Rishi, what is your take on this?
You'll be surprised to know one thing. I mean, I'm just giving you a data. I mean, this month, July, we have surpassed China in terms of VC investment in India. Like total global investments, if you see, we have surpassed China. We have crossed $7 billion in first half. We are like surpassing China in the monthly investments. So obviously this government is doing something good, and they were able to create and the environment which is like quite enabling for this kind of people. So secondly, you need to also understand the FDI is coming, and this year, the year I'm talking the last 12 months. I mean, all the major trillion-dollar economies, their FDI has gone down, and only India and China is just slight, but it is the India which has given a surprise jump in the FDI, inflows. So all the other countries are doing bad, and India is doing good. So many says कि यार इंडिया का इकोनॉमी बर्बाद हो गया जब से ये गवर्नमेंट आई है या वो है. But you tell me, if India का इकोनॉमी बर्बाद हो गया, then how come we jump to the 5th place in the total GDP ranking? We have surpassed Britain, we have surpassed Canada, we have surpassed Italy, we have surpassed France. How come we become 5th largest country in terms of the GDP if we are doing so bad in the economy? So we must be doing something good. And economy doesn't work in an absolute term. It always works in a relative term. If we are doing better than the other people or not. So this is how the economy works. It doesn't work only absolute term. Look, we have to do a double-digit growth. When other countries are doing double-digit downgrade, degrowth, and we are growing even for 1%. That means we are doing better than that country. So these are the things which we need to understand, and these are the things which we need to do. And the wealth creation which has taken place in last 1 year is like I haven't seen in my 40 years of life. Like like wealth creation is like $2 trillion of wealth creation. From $1 trillion, it has gone to almost 3 trillion, $3.5 trillion. So what happens in the wealth creation? I just give you one small example. Like suppose you earn 1 lakh rupee or salary a month, okay, and your what you call salary increases by 10%, and you get 1,10,000 per month. So what you do? You'll be happy ki I have a 10,000 additional disposable income, and I can do whatever I want with that 10,000 rupees, okay, every month. But what happened when your portfolios, double ups? You suppose you're invested in mutual fund, you suppose you invested in equity market, you suppose you invested in whatever the asset, and it goes up. Like if I have a portfolio of 1 crore, it goes to 2 crores. What I'm going to do, that is called wealth effect, not income effect. So the wealth effect of this country has seen a tremendous jump in last 1 year. And what happened with the wealth effect? If my portfolio goes double, so what I'm going to do, I think that I should buy a dream home. Mereko, yeah, I always dreamed about having my 2 bedroom home or 3 bedroom home, because I'm paying a hefty rent to my landlord. So I don't want to, get rid of that thing, and I want to want to get my own loan. So I'll do that. Now, earlier, we used to have a 12% of home loan rates. Now the rates have gone down to 7%. That's a 5% of, interest rate decrease, which we are seeing. This is like one of the sharpest decrease of interest rate we have seen. And who's going to benefit? All the middle class people, who they are going to benefit with this, rate decrease. So you see the rate decrease, you see everything this government is doing, and then you see the new government. They have given a banking coverage to all the unbanked people. In 2014, we just have a 60% people having access to the bank. They were not even having a bank account, simple bank account. This is the same government which have done, nationalization of the private banks in 1970s, so that they can able to serve all the people. But in last 40 years, from 1970 to 2014, 44 years, nothing has happened such. Even the 60% people were doing the banking, and the 40% people were not, they were like devoid of this banking structure. This government has put this thing. What they have given, they enabled a jam trinity. Jam trinity kya hai? Jam trinity hai your Jandhan, that is your bank account, that is a free zero deposit bank account. Aadhaar, your Aadhaar card, which is your like biometric identity card, and your mobile, which is like, it's become so cheap. You can have mobile. I earlier used to pay 1,200 rupees for the package, which I'm right now paying 200 rupees. So I'm saving that 1,000 rupees every month. So what exactly happened? It's enabled a KYC system. Anybody can open an account. Anybody can open a Paytm account. Anybody can open a bank account. Anybody can open a Demat account, trading account, loan account. That person can start getting a loan because that person is having a bank account right now. So, and these people, these people used to, get loan at a very high rate from from this private lenders. They used to give loans at almost 100% interest rate, because they were not, they always take in the cash and they used to repay the cash. This is how this money lenders used to, suck the blood out of them. But now, what exactly happened? If you have a bank account, you get a 5,000 rupees of overdraft limit. So for a petty, for a small petty loans, you don't have to go to any money lender. You just simply draw that account. You have a 1 lakh insurance cover and 30,000 accidental cover. So you are secured in that way. And those kind of, what exactly is happening, if you're earning, you can transmit your money to any of this. Suppose you're earning in Bangalore and you are staying in a UP. So you can transfer your money straight away to your wife. You don't need to, earlier people used to, pay money to transfer the cash amount from one place to another. Now you don't have to pay. You just simply, put the money in your bank account, and your wife or your spouse will just draw the money from the nearest branch she has access to. So these are the bigger change which has happened. Incremental small changes, but it has a very big effect. Now, what exactly you did with these things? you have bought those 40% in the formal sector. You have made them, you have given them income tax, you have given a Aadhaar card, and you have given them this thing. They can borrow loan, they can enable all the financial services, and they can do this thing. So you can see the difference which is this government is making, and this is now they are the part of this economy, and they are contributing to this economy by every form of way, formalization of their earnings and everything.
But Rishi, at the same time, do you think there is a data that says whatever the FDI we were talking about, it has been 80% has been contributed to the blue chip companies, and the rest is with beginners and mid cap companies. So how do you think, especially the beginners, can attract FDIs, and how do you think that they can look up making big with their entrepreneurship skills?
No, this is a very good question you have asked. I mean, what you're referring is the big FDIs by the big companies like Reliance and all. But what they have done with that big FDI, they have repaid the loans. They were having a huge loans in their books. So what they have done is that they have repaid the loan to the banks. All the steel companies, they have in this commodity booms, all the steel company, Indian steel companies, Indian cement companies, Indian metal companies, those were like, they were like struggling actually. They literally struggling. They were getting sold off in the NCLT for the 40 paisa, for 50 paisa for every 1 rupee they invested. So now what exactly happened? All this money is going to the bank. They are repaying the debt. They are repaying, and the bank is having more money to lend. This is what I sold. I told you the bank is flush with the funds. That is the reason the interest rate has come down from 12% to 7% now. Even a middle class person can buy a home, his dream home, at 7% interest rate. So the FDI which is coming to the corporate accounts are actually, in the one or the other way, it is going to the bank account.
So
And the bank is lending.
pushed to the economy itself.
It is going to the economy. And the venture capital which I'm talking about, they don't go to the bigger company. They come to this small startups, the new startups, and this is how they are growing. This is how they are doing these things. So this is how it happens. Now, what exactly how this happened? This government, what they did, that they knew that they want this Atmanirbhar Bharat, but Atmanirbhar Bharat is not that easy, because if Vietnam is giving you a 25 or 15% tax rate, and you are charging 30% corporate tax, so obviously no company will come to India. You keep tom-tomming this Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat nahi ho sakta hai, because no company will come in and invest in India with this kind of high rates. So what this government has done, they have slashed the rate of to 15% to the new units. If you want to set up a new unit in India, your rates are 15%, and for existing unit they have done for 25%, from almost 33-34%. So 7-8% the rate has been slashed. And what it actually happened with those things, after effects kya hua? After effects ye hua ki the company started making a very good money, and they started repaying the debt. They started a new capex cycle. They started hirings. Now you see the IT companies are hiring, the law firms are hiring, the steel companies are hiring, the cement companies are hiring. They are this heavy engineer companies are started hiring. So you can see the impact it is creating in every way. This is the first year where the personal income tax has outgrown the corporate taxes. So obviously the people are paying more taxes because they are earning more. Nobody will pay taxes if nobody will pay taxes if they are not earning. So it's very clear. You won't pay tax if you're not earning. That's very simple. So the corporate are paying taxes. They are paying loans. They are repaying the loans, and the loans is going back to the banks. Banks which are also in a very distressed situation. Now they are recouping all this NPA assets and everything by selling their assets in the NPA in the NCLT, and they are getting also the repayment of their loans, and they have the flush with the funds. Now what they are going to do, there's a priority lending sectors where they need to lend, like in agriculture, like in mudra, like in the below the poverty, below the pyramid people, they need to lend. So they are lending to them. So that fund is going there to the unbanked people. So all this credit line has started. MSME got 3 lakh crore of loan without any collateral. So this has all happened. That is the reason you haven't seen the migrant problem this year. Last year, what you have seen, what we have witnessed, the migrant problem, we haven't seen this time. There's actually literally there's a crisis of different magnitude. There's a crisis that the industry doesn't have a labor right now. They are facing a labor shortage. They are facing a skilled manpower shortage. They are facing this blue collar manpower shortage, and they are also facing a white collar manpower shortage. That is why the July have seen a 3 lakh new openings in the white collar jobs, and almost like they have almost 80 lakhs jobs has been added back in this July, as per the CMI data. So everything is happening in front of you. We have our own vaccine. We are not dependent on others' vaccine. So we have our own vaccine. We vaccinated 50 crore people, almost 1 New Zealand a day. We are vaccinating. This is like one of the largest vaccination drive a country has carried. Even we are surpassing USA. We able to, manage this COVID situation quite well. We have our own medicines with us. We have our own antibiotics with us. We have our own remdesivir with us. We have scaled this oxygen plants very fast. So within the crisis lasted only for 1 month, and then everything was very much under control. So this is happening in front of you. This is a new India which always, keep up very fast. We have a RuPay card which is replacing MasterCard. 33 crore people now are using RuPay cards. RuPay is like made in India. So you can imagine those kind of technological advances which we are having. We are like putting our satellites in Mars orbit. We are going to Chandrayaan. We are like competing with the best of the worlds right now. So we are the new India, which we always think, which we need to be.
So we are the new India. Lovely. I mean, that's probably more than an imagination. I'm glad that we are actually into the reality of new India today. Soumya, taking it from there, I'm sure we are almost end of the session. I have a last question to you, Soumya.
Sure.
What, according to you, the new India is? Not about imaginations, not about dramas, not about fairy tales, not about fantasies, but having practical approach. How do you think a new India should be, and what should be the approach of youth towards building the new India?
So thank you for that question. That's something that I think most of us have been pondering on for a while now, that what is this new India that we keep hearing about? In my opinion, the new India is one where very practically speaking is very economically driven. I think the kind of economic losses that have happened due to the pandemic has really, let's say, slowed down the growth rate or the growth narrative of this country. So a new India is one that is absolutely growth driven. It's also economically driven, but inclusive growth. When I say growth, I don't mean in terms of rich making more money. I'm talking about an inclusive growth where there is enough platform for everybody to showcase their talent. An India where we do not forget our civilizational heritage. We do not forget about our civilizational values, where we are more confident about our own skin. A one where we contribute towards the nation building very, very concretely, so to say, where we are very sure about the security, where we are very sure about where we stand in terms of our security. How do we face our adversaries? Let's be very honest, geography hasn't been very kind to us in terms of our neighbors. Where we are protected to a very large extent, we are surrounded by some hostile neighbors. And I think a new India is one which is very confident about where it stands. We know our shortcomings, we know our shortfalls, we know where we have to work on, and we aim or we cultivate our efforts in that, or we steer our efforts in that direction where we contribute towards nation building. I think for a very long time, India has been blamed for brain drain and whatnot. We do not have enough opportunities for people who have the minds in this country. I think a new India is one where we create that platform where people come back. They may go wherever they want to, but they come back and they create that platform, or they nurture that kind of mind where we are skill driven. We're also looking towards a lot of scientific development. Let's be very honest, India's R&D hasn't been the best. We are slow on that trajectory. I think a new India is one which is more confident about going towards the direction where we invest a lot in our R&D. We invest a lot in terms of skill development of the people, where we also make sure that people are not used to freebies, which they have been for a very long time. I think there's a lot of talent, especially non-mainstream talent. So when I say I'm talking about, say, performing arts, say arts, there are a lot of other avenues which haven't quite been given that platform. Whenever we say India and soft power, we go back to Ayurveda, or we go to dances. But we don't go to an entire, tapestry of knowledge that we had in terms of sciences, say in mathematics, or say in physics, chemistry, biology, and so many other fields for that matter. I think a new India is one that's very confident about its knowledge as well. Is, like I said, is instead of fighting other people's battle, is creating their own battlegrounds. Where instead of countering other people's narrative, we are building our own narratives. We draw our knowledge from our own ancestry. As an IR scholar, we were taught so many different, treatises of, Machiavelli, and then Aristotle and whatnot, but hardly people taught us Chanakya in college. And more than that, it's not just Chanakya. We've had plethora of leaders, but we hardly talk about them. So I think New India is one that can take pride, that can take confidence from its own sources, from its own roots, and not really, imitate the West, or ape the West for that matter. I think a New India is one that can create its own legacy and continue its own legacy instead of, questioning it, or at least
Perfect.
I stand.
Perfect, Soumya. So quickly, Rishi, do you want to add to your concept of New India?
For me, the new India is Aditi Ashoka's 200 ranked person who is fighting with the best and defeating them. For me, the new India is like Neeraj Kumar, who throws javelin at 87 meters and wins a gold for us. The new India is the Dipender Kumar, who creates Zomato and gives a lot of jobs and millions of jobs to the people. For me, the new India is Covishield and Covaxin, which India has created and which India has innovated, and we don't have to depend on any other vaccines in the world. So we have our own vaccines. The new India is the surgical strikes, which we do when our adversary try to do some misadventure in our country. The new India is Doklam, where we face our demons in the name of China, and we can face eyeball to eyeball, and we don't budge down. So this is the new India we are talking about. The new India is where we have where we have brought the poverty from 12.5 crore to 5 crore by reducing the poverty by 7.5 crore people. So we are bringing them out of the poverty line. The new India is fast, is India, which has jumped 5 spot in the GDP, and it has become the 5th largest country by the term of the GDP. The new India is something which is like where we can we are going to be growing as a fastest growing economy in next 2-3 years. So according to me, the new India is here, and the story has just begun. We have the confidence, we have the resources, and we have the manpower and the demography in our side, and let the game begin. This is what I can say. Thank you.
Picture abhi baki hai. I'm sure we have a very long way to go, and for me, according to me, the new India is where we see Mussoorie and Anantnag on the same scale with respect to tourism. And for me, new India is how I see a lot of people coming to IIT. I want to see people from south or from west or from east going to Kashmir and studying there about the demography, about the political change in Kashmir, and Kashmiri people coming here. And there is a lot of peace in the country, and there is a lot of harmony in the country. We appreciate the diversity which we are actually known for in the whole of the world. And I'm sure the youth is going to be ambassadors of all the cultural diversity and the unity. And jo apna hai wo to apna hai, and I'm sure we have to recognize that, and this generation will not let us down in doing it, and I'm sure all of us are there to join hands with them and take them forward in carrying the legacy, the rich heritage. And of course, I don't tell, not don't follow us, don't follow them, but let's first compare what we have and what they have. And if you really think that they're better, then why not? But I'm sure at least in the process of comparison, you will know what we have, and we know what we have. And you both have just been wonderful panelists today for this evening. And I'm sure we till the next panel discussion that's going to happen on August 15th. A lot of our generation, a lot of our viewers have a lot of things to ponder over, and we're going live on Facebook. I just want to ask that can we take quick questions? Do we have time for 2 or 3 questions that
go for
our
it.
viewers want to ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I think some of the coordinator from the DISHA Bharat should take it up. Do you have any questions on Facebook that's coming up for us? Okay, so there's a technical error here. 1 minute. Okay, so somebody is telling New India is also this wonderful data-based panel discussion, and somebody is telling New India is also this wonderful data-based panel discussion. Okay, so we have a question from. I'm sorry, I'm not able to get the name. Okay, so there's a question that's coming up. I think Rishi, you would take this question, especially when we talk about job creation. And as you rightly said, government is not the whole and sole responsible body to provide jobs. But how can government facilitate?
The government can facilitate by encouraging. I think something is echoing. Yeah, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Please go on.
So government can simply do a act of they can facilitate the industry to create jobs. They can facilitate they can encourage the entrepreneurs to create a job, like Startup India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, give them the tax soaps, give them all the clearances and everything. This is Startup India is one of the schemes which government has started, and it actually created a revolution out of the internet. The cheap internet has created a app revolution in all over the India. And there's a app hungry people. Like if you just need a good app and people are there to lap you, we have almost 70 crore people who uses internet these days. So this is almost the number which has doubled in last 3 years. So this kind of the internet based economy, the real economy, every economy is firing right now. I can just give you some statistics which is like very important. If you see the construction which is happening in Uttar Pradesh, there are 4 big expressway which are being getting constructed. And when the construction happens, it creates huge job opportunities for the laborers, for the people. And what exactly happened when an expressway passes from the backward district of the region, it creates a huge what you call job opportunity. Because what happened, lot of companies and lot of warehousing and lot of logistics companies start making bases on the either side of those roads. So this is how it happens. So when you create a road, you're also creating an ecosystem for that thing, a swift transportation, and you're also creating an ecosystem for the clusterization of the factory and other things. So this is how you need to create a lot of jobs, and obviously the interest rate need to be go down, which they have done in the, and they have taken a lot of reforms. I mean, in the labor reform, I think I rate labor reform as one of the biggest thing. You can hire and fire the labor. You can allow women to work at night, at the night shift. So a lot of things are happening. You can allow your shop to be open during night. I'm not talking about this COVID times. Obviously, these are the different time, but it won't last for long. But then what this you can open your open your shop anytime you wish. So those are the things which government has done. They have provided you a lot of flexibility. They have provided you a lot of this thing. The taxes have gone down, the interest rates are gone down, the labors, you can hire and fire labors, you can you know, the capital raising things are getting very good. Now you see so many companies are coming and raising capital. Now what they are going to do with that capital? They will expand, they will, you know, they will create more facility, they will hire more people, and they will cater more people, more you know, more services and all these things. So they are going, everyone is expanding right now, and when they are expanding, obviously the country also grows, so the opportunity become manifold and everything.
Okay. So there's another question. I'm sure, Soumya, it's for you. So what are the measures actually that's been taken? They have a particular question about Kashmir to engage the youth in building Kashmir, building nation, rather than getting into anti-state activities. What are the special? Are there any special activities, because you've been closely working in Kashmir and with the schemes and policies and other things? Yeah.
Right. So I think that's a very, very important question. I think there's a lot of initiative that has been undertaken by the government and the army as well. The way in which the army is, engaging with the community is very, very appreciable. From organizing, say, things like, career workshops for them, for the youth there, to, helping set them or inaugurate their small little bakeries, for instance, or providing assistance to women who want to indulge in, say, handloom architecture and all of that. There's a lot of community engagement that the Indian Army has also done. Apart from it, ever since Lieutenant Governor of Kashmir, Shri Manoj Sinha ji has come to save the seat there. There are a lot of initiatives that he has undertaken, from promoting, agriculture to promoting horticulture in the state. Kashmir is known for its fabulous weather for half the year, and their apples from walnuts to whatnot. So there's a lot of push that has been given to them. If I can rightly recall, there was something on the lines of a nano fertilizer that they were trying to create, urea-based fertilizer that will double the income of the farmers there, people who are into horticulture. And this is largely the youth that's involved in all these activities. So they're really promoting it well. Apart from it, very interesting is they're trying to really promote a lot of people in the film industry. So, at some point in time, Kashmir was popular, as a site for films. But then, of course, when militancy took over, Bollywood and, all sorts of entertainment platforms from India sort of retracted. Now they're coming up with new policies to promote film tourism in the valley again. And they're encouraging a lot of youngsters in this arena as well. Apart from it, of course, they're investing a lot in skill development. There's, of course, a lot of IITs, IIMs that have now come up in Kashmir. Imagine one union territory has 2 IITs now. They have IIMs, they have triple ITs coming up, they have AIMS coming up. So I think there's a lot that is being done to engage with the youth. Apart from it, there's a lot of secondary development that's also coming. So the last I remember, a lot of villages had been electrified. Then there were these hydroelectric power projects for which the money has already been sanctioned. So, of course, when these developmental initiatives take shape, they also supplement a lot of, collateral jobs that are around it. And I think there's a lot of engagement that's being done. I think the problem is that all of this is not so well documented for. I think media channels don't sell this well because I think it doesn't fetch enough TRPs for them. So the stone pelter somehow becomes important, but developmental projects do not cater that kind of audience. But there's a lot of initiative that has taken place. With regards to COVID itself, the kind of vaccination rates that UT of JNK has achieved, it's unparalleled. And imagine a state that's affected with terrorism. There were so many shutdowns that had to happen. Despite that, their vaccination rates have been very, very great. So I think there's a lot that's been happening. The problem is that it's not that well documented for, and I think that's purely because people are more interested in like I said, anti-India forces than pro-India forces, at least in social media out there. So I think that's where the information is not really getting conveyed. But there's some very interesting initiatives that have been undertaken by the government there.
Nevertheless, I'm sure a platform like DISHA Bharat is trying to promote what's actually required and what's valid and what's the truth is what current generation is required to know. And we are flooded with questions, and I'm sure people have their they'll take their time out and they'll email you, they'll tweet you, and I'm sure you both will be very happy to solve their questions and their apprehensions and other things. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you. It was really a very I would rather tell a very enchanting session. It was a very enlightenment for a lot of youth out there, and it's going to be registered in the memory of young India for a long time. That's what I feel. Thank you so much, Rishi. Thank you so much, Soumya. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.